up against Chaz, and it didn't really leave PGG with a lot of options.
It's going to be so hard because you need to have a draft that can enable you in the early game. Then you need to action and play on that draft well against some of the best players from the LPL. That Lucian banned away instantly. You were saying to me just before we went on camera, Lucian perma-banned.
Yeah.
Xiaohu's just not going to get it. RNG will not be allowed to play it.
Yeah, Xiaohu, you're going to see the Lucian banned every game. The Jace probably banned a lot as well. Of course, very strong with those physical damage, carry threat, range top laners. And as we transition more and more into a meta where pretty much every best S-tier jungler is going to be magic damage dealing, well, you're going to need those carry threats, those physical damage dealers in both the top lane and the mid lane. That's why we saw Lee Sin versus Nocturne yesterday, and already Pentanet want to take away that Nocturne that really shut down their lead.
It really did, and I'm very sad to see the Morgana as well as the Rumble banned away. You're talking about those junglers and just how much influence they have on the draft.
Yeah, it was really surprising yesterday to see. Obviously, RNG had a really big priority on that Rumble and went for that very early on, but Pentanet, on the other hand, on red side in this matchup, left open the Rumble, and we're happy to give that to Wei. Wei then, even after going for that very ambitious flash in the enemy jungle, ended up completely running over in the team fights later on. And then in their second game, Pentanet also left open the Rumble when they were blue side and also didn't first pick it. So RNG still very much respecting that, even without Pentanet showing that they want to value it as a first pick.
I mean, that's a big indication on the power of those picks, right? And I want to see who else is going to be picking them up and playing them throughout the rest of this group stage. There's that Lee Sin locked in, one of those flexible champions, and we can see which lane it's going to end up in. And yesterday, we did see the Kai'Sa pick as well. That was in Gala's hands. It'll be swapped away, so it's going to be the Udyr, which I'm very sad about. Kog'Maw Lulu, okay.
Yeah, so this is a duo that we've been hearing about, right? With Lulu seeing more attention very, very recently. Like, do we see Lulu Jinx? Do we see Lulu Kog'Maw? If you watch Vedius's picks to watch, you'd know that this was on our radar heading into the tournament. And I like the idea from Pentanet. Now, it's always a difficult question you have to ask yourself when you are the team that is not favored in matchup. Do you go the scaling route and basically dare your opponents? Can you close out the game before we come online and overrun you in the team fights? Or do you say, we want to invest everything in the early game? A lot of analysts will say, oh, you want to cheese them in the early game. You want to hit them with a punch they don't quite expect. Well, Pentanet 2 games in a row, yesterday with the Fiddlesticks and the Jinx, and today with the Lulu Kog'Maw, are saying that they want to try and outscale and outfight RNG later on.
That is a really bold call to make, especially because Pentanet have not had the strongest laning phases here on the MSI stage. We pushed back both of their games yesterday, so we already start feeling just a little bit nervous. And that Kai'Sa was eventually locked in on the third pick for RNG. As we jump into phase 2 bans, Ahri removed from the pool. Nautilus is what Ming wielded yesterday. I wonder if we'll see yet another support ban, make that matchup just a little bit more comfortable for the Kog'Maw. And of course, if he's going to be sitting back, he needs a lot of protection and peel. You've already got a lot of mobility from that Kai'Sa and Lee Sin combination.
Yeah, we're looking at like an All-Star, Aurel, these types of champions to go ahead and put Ming on in the support position, because you already have like a Lee Sin, right? That obviously the displacement effect of his kick can be very threatening up against Kog'Maw on the backline. We still don't know yet where that Lee Sin is going to end up, which solo lane that will find itself in with the Udyr Wei. You almost have to expect that he's going to be rocking that for himself. And interesting to see RNG banning away the Olaf away from Pabu. Make sure he can't get on that right now. Pentanet it feels like they need something out of the mid jungle to try and stabilize this Lulu Kog'Maw on the bottom side, especially if we see Ming on a heavy engaged support, because once you put Gala and Ming on some playmaking tools, if Wei decides to play what he did more in the finals of the LPL as opposed to the regular season where it was much more about the bottom lane, well, when you see a Lulu Kog'Maw, that sends you a giant target. You want to hit that lane.
Dive, 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 and the Leona will definitely enable that playstyle. And you mentioned there that RNG, as they were closing out the spring playoffs, they changed their playstyle a little, where Wei was able to spend more time and invest more resources into the duo of Gala and Ming. But during the course of the regular season, it was all about Wei and Cryan. The reason I really like that is it already demonstrates the versatility, the experience that they do have, and the different approaches that they can bring to the game. So now as the response, we've got the Volibear locked in as well as the Orianna. So Volibear jungle, not top, and we'll see what this final mid pick will be.
Yeah, I like this, right? We were sort of saying that Pabu yesterday on the Fiddlesticks, it felt like it put his team at a big disadvantage because he's just trying to clear through his jungle once he fell behind there too. All of his lanes were getting pushed in, and he wasn't able to find any sort of room to look for a gank especially around a powerful mid laner like a Lee Sin. This time the lane's a little bit more passive from Pentanet. We'll see what that top lane matchup does end up being, but Pabu has the ability to influence the early game and make sure he can show up where Wei wants to attack.
It'll be interesting to see how practiced and comfortable Pentanet look on these champions. Volibear only played twice by Pabu. Chaz on the Orianna. This year, this will be the second professional game that he's played on stage. And into the Ori, into the composition that Pentanet have put together, it is going to be the Sylas. There are a number of very powerful ultimates to steal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think everyone knows Sylas stealing a Gnar ultimate is absolutely terrifying. There's so many threats that can be thrown towards the Kog'Maw in the backline in these fights. Now, you do have the Orianna who can offer some shielding. The Lulu, of course, going to be super high value for Praedyth, but at the same time, you have very powerful lanes for RNG to work through. Every single lane from RNG looked good up against Pentanet yesterday, and you have Xiaohu on the Lee Sin, a champion that I feel like we've seen picked a whole lot in this tournament, banned sometimes too, but it hasn't popped off to the full extent just yet. We'll see what Xiaohu can do with it in his hands.
Well, I have a lot of expectation for Xiaohu to pop off on this particular pick. It's one that was talked about, the rumors from scrims, from the development of the meta here into MSI, and now Xiaohu and RNG have already got a win under their belts. They'll be looking to pick up the second as they take on Pentanet. Reminder again, quadruple round robin for the teams here. And between Pentanet and UOL, one of those two is most likely to follow up RNG. Let's see if any surprises can happen. As you can tell, we're just about loading up onto the Rift. And let's see where Xiaohu and RNG will go. Now, we talked about the expectations for Pentanet and the fact that they do have the scaling comp. They do want to buy time. They do want to put themselves in a position where Orianna, where Kog'Maw need time and items to build up. They cannot afford any early mistakes here against this composition that RNG put together. Yeah,
and you know, we saw yesterday, one of the most criticized things in Pentanet's early game was Pabu's early jungle pathing. Went for the full clear, then was worried he was getting invaded on his bot side, ended up not resetting, and well, with the vision that was given into his jungle, Wei was able to sort of do a dance around, invade him on the top side. So the fear of losing camps caused Pabu to lose even more. And that's certainly something we don't want to see from them today, especially with a little bit more stabilizing lanes, right? Like nothing from Pentanet don't need to like pop off in this early game. I think that Pabu's main plan is going to be looking towards top lane, perhaps. You figure Lee Sin versus Gnar, especially with Gnar pushing perhaps in this matchup. If his lane ever gets frozen against him, that can be pretty deadly. If you're ever mini Gnar versus the Lee Sin, if an Udyr comes up around that top side, you do have to be a little bit careful.
Are you at all surprised at how much Gnar we've seen, despite some of the nerfs? Or were you anticipating it to be this level of priority?
I mean, ultimately, like, top laners have a specific breed of champions I feel like they always look for. They want picks that are usually lane dominant and can win the majority of their matchups, and then also have some pretty big team fight influence as well, right? So that's why we see a lot of Gnar Renekton too for his mid-game team fights. Like, these types of picks, you're pretty much going to be okay with no matter what. Gnar, a little bit more vulnerable, perhaps, than something like that Renekton. We are going to see both junglers pathing up towards the top side early on, and perhaps something goes down up there.
Well, let's see what Wei can do. Had a huge influence in the games thus far as Praedyth will step forward, start auto-attacking at level 1. Little bit of return damage, but so far it feels like Pentanet will get the better of that trade.
Yeah, that's the thing. Rocking a Lulu plus Kog'Maw, you see with the W level 1 there, Praedyth does a whole lot of damage. And, well, if Ming and RNG want to contest in the 2v2, Ming has to be diving in. That's not something you can do so well at level 1, so they do have the push on the bottom side. And, you know, also people are going to think about the Kog'Maw and they'll think, like, hard scaling. Well, it's not as slow to come online here.
Pushing forward, Cryan's got Chaz down to 200 hit points, below 100. Flash forward, not enough just yet. One tower shot would have allowed Chaz to turn that out.
That's really surprising from Cryan, because I think most people would have thought there he needs an extra auto attack, thinking he could maybe get that in after that empowered auto, but a poor read by him, thinking he could get the kill, and Chaz doesn't even have to use his flash. Chaz also has teleport, so even taking this early trade, he's just going to be spamming that one key, getting those corrupting potions stacks up, and now Cryan is playing a melee champion, Flashless, who has to step up to farm, and it's versus a Volibear level 3.
Ooh, not
he was spotted though, missing pings on that bully.
Okay, Cryan's aware of this, will cheat towards the bottom of the lane, and Pabu unable to take advantage of the Flashless Cryan. but definitely signaling the intent here from Cryin in this middle lane. Level 2 all in and sending the flash. Wei will now chase onto Pabu as the teleport will be channeled from BioPanther. I feel like Pabu can just walk his way out.
Yeah, Wei should be able to get this. He has level 4. Will smite that away and now wants to fight this.
And this is around. Cryin jumps in. Will be able to get so much damage for first blood secured by Wei. Turning the attention now over toward Chaz as well as BioPanther. He gets one back. Chaz gets the double buffs and he's being chased down. Cryin waiting for the cooldowns. Needs the stun. Flash away from the Sonic Wave. Cryan's low on mana. Gets caught underneath the tower. The tower shot's not going to be enough just yet. Cryin manages to escape and RNG take 3 kills.
That was disgusting. I've never seen a Sylas E hit from that far away. Cryin is able to find it, and it's after Pentanet opt into the fight down in levels. They think they had the upper hand, but now RNG are going to take it all. Double crabs, 3 kills to just the one of Pentanet.
1,800 gold lead, and look at the minimap. BioPanther TPs in to then commit as Chaz and Pabu feel like they have the upper hand.
Oh man, looking on your screen right now, Pabu's looking for a topside gank.
Okay, not enough just yet. The Sonic Wave and Resonating Strike combo from Xiao, who gets some damage onto BioPanther, and just an easy maul from Pabu picks up a reply kill. So PGG, they'll at least pick something up in reply, but this is a little worrying because this is a team composition that needs time. Chaz has no flash. The Zenith Blade connects, and so does all the follow-up CC. Wait, man, just pick up another.
Yeah, basically coming out of that skirmish on the top side, both teams were setting up a play. RNG were actually hovering around this mid lane for even longer than Pabu was going for the gank top side, and ultimately it's just soul lanes where you look to attack, and I love seeing Ming get out of that bot lane roaming to mid. He'll also love to roam top side too, especially when Xiaohu is having a good game. So if RNG, I mean, already with so many summoner spells burnt, already with a 1.3k gold lead, you expect them to not let up, to make Ming and Wei continue to attack these solo lanes.
There's no doubt about that. Looking at how Cryin has been in Chaz's face the entire time, looking at the champions they've put together as well, they want to go forward.
Oh no.
Sin will be able to follow up that Q and start to back away.
Look at the wave right now, though. There's so many range creeps in the top side from BioPanther. It's pushing away from him, and Xiaohu always is threatening, jumping on forward. That's why Xiaohu can sort of walk past the minion waves. He sees Pabu exactly where he is. He sees where Decoy is too in that middle lane, so he's fine to continue to try and zone BioPanther off of CS. And now you see the response from Pabu and Chaz, making the way towards top side. BioPanther is stacking up this wave, and they can threaten to dive.
Zenith Blade will be able to catch and Praedith. He's going to use the cleanse to get away, and not enough damage just yet, but instantly pushing him back, and there was no dive attempt taken top.
Yeah, and the problem is, right, top lane is already kind of difficult to dive, especially with Cryin moving over. He has level 6, so he could steal away an ult from Pabu or BioPanther before they even have access to it themselves. And BioPanther can't really, or Pabu rather, can't really threaten going for the dive. He doesn't know where Wei is. With Praedith taking such a chunk in the bot lane, if he shows, he risks giving a dive opportunity over to RNG in bot lane.
Xiao, who just hit level 6 as well. Dragon Strike is available to him, steps forward, lands the Q, some reply damage from Wei. Gonna get pinned against the wall with the non taken out before Xiao, who can even use that kick. Now Wei's running for his life, sidesteps the boulder toss. While that was going on, there's a dive in the bottom lane.
Yeah, they didn't even need extra players. It's just a 2v2 straight up, and they get another kill. RNG styling in the 2v2 bot side, but Pentanet were able to pick up one top.
They did indeed grab one. Xiao, who holding onto that kick for so incredibly long, ended up costing him. BioPanther secures the knockdown into the wall. And I wasn't watching the picture-in-picture. Gala and Ming just tower dove and get the double kill.
Well, I mean, we're looking for another fight on the Scuttle Crab. Pentanet twice in a row getting blasted in the topside river. That is not what you want to see. And to answer the question of how that dive even worked in the ball lane, it's because Gala and Ming in the 2v1, when Decoy was showing mid lane, they took a great trade. Praedith is already 50% HP heading into this play, and RNG are like, wait a second, that's not enough. Your shield are not good enough. Even through the exhaust, Gala is able to proc his passive and finish off that kill. And then Decoy, with all these minions, he's just a sitting duck. They lose so much. Now a 20 CS lead almost for the bot lane 2v2 of Gala.
And not only the kills going over to RNG, but the denial of the CS, the denial of the XP, it is gigantic. It's a 3,000 gold lead already at 7.5 minutes. And reminder that yesterday, Pentanet also lost to RNG. We were ideating and theorizing how and what Pentanet may need to do to adapt today. And this composition is going to have such an incredibly difficult time stabilizing long enough to be powerful to contest RNG.
The credit I will give to Pentanet is even in their game yesterday versus RNG, they were hopelessly behind 10k gold, but they fought their way to the death.
Yeah.
Right? They're not a team that's going to slow down, let you roll them over. That's why they're from level 3 fighting in the topside river. It's not working for them very clearly. RNG are out to an advantage, but it's not a team that's going to go easily in the night. This is a team that is going to fight you to the very end and continue to challenge RNG even down so much.
I mean, we also saw yesterday Payne coming back from a gigantic disadvantage. Now, I do think the disparity in player abilities is a little different here today.
Yeah, you don't want to look at the jungle CS right now, guys. Stay away.
That is ridiculous. Wei currently sitting 3-1-1, significantly further ahead. Looking at his stats from yesterday, another fantastic performance. 33% damage share.
You gotta
is
appreciate
ridiculous.
the small mechanics too, as Gala wards through the wall and Pabu's like, wait, I'm trying to set up a gank, guys. Well, no. Wei continues to dominate just like yesterday, and well, it comes as Pabu continues to force these ganks, right? That's why you go for the Volibear, to try and have an early game impact, but now Wei is literally doubling his CS at 9 minutes. 2-level advantage, 3 kills to his name, and well, on the tank, Udyr, sometimes you get to have a little bit of extra fun. If we actually go away from the gold for just a second, 1200 is a lot, and that's enough to upgrade into a Medjai from that Dark Seal eventually.
That is ridiculous. That is such a swag move from Wei, and also it's a gigantic let's say message to myself after I was ragging on Udyr just a moment ago. But I mean, look, RNG have just played this exceptionally well. They've taken every single fight in every single lane, and right now they're currently outskilling PGG.
Yeah, they definitely are. You know, I will say Pentanet were in very good spirits in the pregame. Like, both teams are actually have a bit of back and forth, teaching some of the Chinese solo queue meta of like the 666 spam, the 777. Look it up. You know, they were trying to educate the other side and keeping spirits high.
Once they actually got into game, I do have the observer up and all chat. They were also all spamming solo bolo, and even some European memes being chucked in there.
I love it
For some fun. As now RNG crest 10 minutes. They've got Ocean Drake, they've got Herald, they've got 7 kills to 3. Wei and Cryan gonna stare down Chaz and Pabu. It is a 3-level difference between Wei and Pabu, as Cryan's gonna go all the way forward. Has held onto that hijack for now. Wei will get backed up by Ming. The ultimate is available if the engage wants to go in. Shockwave is here for Cryan as well.
Oh.
PGG respect, they back away.
Look, you think it's about the Raptor camp, it's about the rest of it, because Praedyth is isolated, so RNG are just attacking into the jungle, trying to zone Pabu and decoy away, because the threat of a dive is ever looming. There's a giant wave there. And, well, Gala's going for it solo.
This
What?
is ridiculous! Gala not going to be able to pick up the kill. The wild growth from Decoy, saving his AD carry's life. But that is insane from Gala.
Wow. Yeah. That's just something you can do. Chaz was thanking Gala for carrying him in solo queue last night in the pregame lobby, but definitely not thanking him after he almost 1v1s Praedyth underneath the bot lane tower. Absolute monstrosity there, and Wei will pick up the second Drake of the game. Pabu just trying his best to clear the wave in bot lane before they lose more plates.
I mean, super important to call out that Gala has got 24 professional games on Kai'Sa in the LPL. He played one yesterday, he played it today. If there is anyone that is going to know the limits of damage, the ability to dive, pick up kills, it's going to be this man. And it comes from a region that has produced some of the world's best AD carries. It was a Xiaohu earlier saying, yeah, Gala, just replace Uzi. You know, like
Easy.
It's no big deal, no stress. But when you do see plays like that, you can see just how fantastic Gala is at the champion and at League.
Yeah, and obviously, like, Gala, like the new kid on the block, has to step into that shadow a little bit too. But like for Xiaohu and Ming, who've been on this team for a while, role swaps, you know, trying to do their best after losing that star player too. It's about redefining the RNG and saying it's not just about some sort of star player. And obviously, this is the very early stages of MSI, but we've seen really great moments out of every single player on this roster in just 2 days.
Yeah, and I mean, RNG, one of the pre-tournament favorites, you know, back on the international stage. Been a while for the squad. They do have some trophies in their cabinet as well, and big legacy to live up to. And right now, they are just styling. We're approaching the 15-minute mark. Wei continues to dominate Pabu. 3-level advantage is maintained. Shockwave comes out from Chaz, but he's running low on mana. Cryan with the gigantic heal, turns it back around to Chaz and almost picks up the solo kill. Wei will step in, Chilling Smite and a bird slap to the face
round two.
to pick
Fight.
it up. Flash forward from Gala. Going to be able to pick up the Captain Ray. Not going to be enough damage just yet, and one more shot secures it. And another tower dive. This time around, Biopanther making his way in. He'll be able to pick it up with the boulder toss to the face.
There is no honor from Pentanet.gg. What is this? Last time there's a wild growth thrown to save Prated. This time they're teleporting down. What happened to a good old-fashioned 1v1? Well, right now it's a 2v0 in the mid lane. RNG just bashing down the turret. So while Pentanet do fire back, get the kill onto Gala, well, they're losing a whole lot for it in the mid lane.
I mean, they really are. This will be the first tower secured in just a moment. That will extend RNG's lead even further. 7,000 gold by 13 minutes. I was also taking a look at some of the overall stats from yesterday. Average game time was 28 minutes, 59 seconds. Very, very fast games. Relatively one-sided. Because obviously we do have a lot of very strong teams in the first group stage of MSI, putting on fantastic performances. Xiaohu 2 levels up on Pabu, not going to be able to pick up the kill just yet, and Prated just wants to farm. He's down 40 CS, and he simply cannot get away from RNG. A ward hop from Xiaohu, and he will get run down with a couple extra bullets.
Got some RNG observers today trying to hide the death from Xiaohu while they get the 2v1 kill on Prated in the bot lane. I like it. All right, well, the turret is going to end up following too, and you know what? It's been a day for Lee Sin. It's been a couple of days for Lee Sin, 1 and 3 while the rest of his team's popping off.
Does Xiaohu meet the mark for what you wanted to see from a laning Lee Sin? Because you've gotten 1 and 2 from yesterday. I think you were a little, let's say, critical of what we saw yesterday.
You know what? I'm going to say that this isn't the game to really judge the validity of the Lee Sin in lane pick. You know what I will say, though, is that this game we are seeing the Gore Drinker, and I think that's what we saw a couple times the other days, yesterday as well, too. Yeah. But I was actually talking with Zale about this, and I think we both kind of like the Eclipse pick. Not in every game, but when you see some squishy targets on the other side, I think Eclipse is pretty sweet on that Lee Sin. And, I mean, when you're off to an early lead, that's what I would have done, personally. I would have liked the Eclipse, go for the one-shots on the Kog'Maw every time, but clearly Xiaohu knows something I don't.
I mean, I also wonder if it'll just be player preference as well, composition dependent. Like, we'll have to see whether or not Lee Sin continues to be prevalent, continues to show his face. We're expecting Xiaohu not to be allowed to play that Lucian, as it's something that he's made such a name for himself on. And of course, look, this is how the game against RNG was expected for Pentanet. But when we look at this group, Pentanet and the Unicorns of Love, one of those teams will be advancing through. So that's really the do or die. And ultimately, for both Pentanet and UOL, there's a couple extra games against one of the best teams in the world. So I really want to see how they continue to adapt and develop. I don't think this comp was the right direction, and we've seen just how good RNG are at punishing everything and creating opportunities. Xiaohu's not going to be able to land the Sonic Wave.
It is interesting, too, when you look at the two leagues. Obviously, LCO came in the latest of any league this year with the OPL shutting down and trying to figure out that situation coming into 2021. The LPL plays like more games than pretty much anyone.
Yep.
You know, best of threes, so many. Like their playoffs are super long, too. RNG ended up dropping a series to FPX before they even made it back to the finals to get that rematch in, which they did eventually win. So a lot of experience just within the last few months for RNG that Pentanet will be hard to match.
And also remember that Pentanet, a number of the Oceanic players got picked up by LCS teams as well. So that also has an impact. Ming chucked out an exploratory solar flare there. I didn't quite see if there was any further backup from RNG, but because of the control they've had, 3 towers secured, they pushed the ward so deep into the Oceanic jungle. This will allow the 3rd dragon to be picked up by RNG. It's an Infernal Soul, and that is exactly what RNG are going to be looking for with the very high damage comp they've put together. I'm still waiting for the Medjais for Wei. Hasn't yet been upgraded, so I'm a bit disappointed.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I'm glad you bring up the Medjais. I was going to say, since it's like 8k gold lead at 16 minutes, everything looking RNG, I kind of want to go on some item tangents here. Okay. There's been some interesting stuff, right? You know, we already had the Lee Sin, we brought up the Medjais, which does need to get upgraded from Wei here. Notice Pabu, obviously struggling a whole lot in this matchup, now having a bit of a dance party with Praedith. You'll love to see it, just leeching some experience from the Kog'Maw. He went for the Locket, and I think that is the right choice, believe it or not, here when you are this far behind. You know, just keep that Kog'Maw alive for 2 extra seconds versus the Kaisa. At the same time, I don't like double Doran's Blades from Biopanther. Now, bringing this up at 17 minutes is a bit of a stretch. I get it, guys, but the Omnivamp does not stack. If you want to get another Doran's looking item, go for a call. I'm a big fan of that. Cole, get yourself some extra money if you can get the 100 CS necessary.
Well, he has been farming well enough into Xiaohu's Lee Sin, but the rest of the map has been absolutely obliterated. I mean, Mythics were just picked up their 4 Chaz on the Ludens, and he's been facing off against a number from RNG. Xiaohu stepping forward once again. No support this time around, as Pentanet have got 3 members sitting nearby. And this is also an interesting thing to think about, is that obviously 2 teams from each of our 3 groups will advance to the Rumble stage, and every other team will be watching this from RNG. I wonder if this Kai'Sa is going to stop being removed against RNG. Gala is just so incredibly strong on it, and we've seen the impact that he can have. BioPanther will about to gnar out. While that's going on, Wei is pushing on the bottom lane. This tower will survive a few extra seconds, but they can't stand toe-to-toe. If RNG engage, Pentanet are going to go down.
You know what? Pentanet are going to fight. That's what I believe. I think from watching their game yesterday and them like trying to set up fights around like Drakes and whatnot, hiding in the fog of war for seemingly 60 seconds while RNG were like, wait a second, why aren't you guys defending your mid turrets? What's going on? If that was any indication, I think they may just end up pulling the trigger, even if it may not end up going super well here. Praedyth, of course, did just finish off Kraken Slayer, so has made it there at the very least.
It's going to be a big power spike, but it's simply not enough right now. 10k gold difference. I'm waiting to see when RNG pull the trigger. Where will the tower dive come from? Baron hasn't even spawned yet. The Infernal Soul will be available at 21.5 minutes. And it is just utter domination here from the LPL representatives.
Another base, another failed MSI's purchase.
It's really disappointing here, Wei. You know,
I mean, Cryan's figured it out. Cryan knows what's up. He's already winning the race. He's got almost double the amount of stacks. If he gets a kill, he's going to get twice as many. It's a bit of a difference there between RNG. Clearly, even with 5 kills, it is Cryan with the mental edge picking up that Mejais.
I mean, it's a 4-level advantage here for Wei over Pabu. Pabu just has not been able to play League of Legends.
I mean, his jungle is gone now, too. Like, he doesn't get to farm. Even if camps do spawn that Pentanet are able to take, it's all going to Praedyth or Chaz.
Yeah, it really, really is. I mean, from RNG now, let's take a look how they finish this out. Panther's going to mega gnar out. They've got so much damage. They can melt Baron if they want to. Bait Pentanet to step forward and turn and engage. If you were going to say, like, a textbook, how to finish this game, what would you want RNG to do?
Well, just go Baron and invite Pentanet in to fight you. You literally have such an item advantage. Like, you can tank that thing for forever with Lee Sin too. His W offers so much. You just, offer up a fight. Cryan steals a Gnar ultimate. You slam Praedyth against the wall and it's over.
Well, that's what it looks like is happening. RNG pushing the waves. They've set up the deep vision. Starting to back away, and let's see if they commit to either the tower or to the Baron pit.
I think it's going to be the Baron pit. I think the control wards in the inventory are relatively telling. That they do want to end up making that turnover. They can also force a TP out of BioPanther, and because it's Infernal Rift, you're going to see Pentanet coming from a mile away. The teleport does come on through, and this will be the fight.
BioPanther needs to get that Mega Gnar, peel away from Baron, from RNG. Ming's got Flash, he's got the Solar Flare as well.
That's the Gnar ult.
To see if he picks a target. All right, so Cryan has stolen it, decides not to engage just yet. RNG playing this one a little slower.
They're just going to go for the Infernal Soul instead. 0 risk with that one, 30 seconds away. You will see Wei trying to get into position, see if there's a good flank opportunity. Puts that ward down critically underneath the red buff. You'll notice Zhao, who is top lane with a teleport. And one thing that Lee Sin in the jungle doesn't get access to for insects is that TP button. He has to use mechanics. Now Lee Sin top lane, a very different story. You can just press that teleport and come on in.
That's the engage from Pentanet. They've got a small window of opportunity with the numbers advantage. Ming is not yet dead. Solar Flare will come down. Cryan step forward. The Gnar into the wall. Buys enough time for Wei and Xiaohu to arrive into the fray. Ming steps forward, finds a Zenith Blade, picks up a double kill for Gala, the triple kill for Gala, as well as the Sonic Wave into the resonating strike, and Gala steps forward into Pabu. This should be the quadra kill for Gala.
Not a Penta this time, but 4 out of 5 is still good enough. I feel bad talking trash about Lee Sin top laners not needing mechanics when Zhao comes up with a clean insect, that's the one, onto Praedyth there. It's not just going to be the Infernal Soul, it's also going to be the Baron for the ultimate cherry on top.
And look at the player cams, by the way. With the exception of Chaz, the rest of Pentanet are smiling, they are laughing a little bit. This is obviously a really, really difficult game, and RNG have just completely run away with it. They picked themselves up the Infernal Soul. They're about to pick themselves up the Baron. at 22.5 minutes. And this is going to be that setup here as we're following Gala.
The Gala POV, you love to see it. Gets away from the Gnar. It's easy peasy and just autos everything that's in front of him for the time being. You actually notice like all the CC sort of setting up to allow him to hit Pabu, and he's got a million dashes too. It's not that hard to chase down and finish off those kills.
No, it really isn't. Nicely done by RNG.
I'm really sad that he wasn't looking at Lee Sin to watch that play. I'm disappointed, Gala. You were focusing on yourself instead of your teammates. Team fight as an AD carry, and that's unacceptable.
I love that. I appreciate that. Well, let's see what Gala and RNG can do now. 15k up. They're going to be playing Unicorns of Love in the next game. Imagine being UOL watching this. Imagine being sheepy and being like, all right, boys, let's take them on, you know? What approach do they go for? And I think UOL, as well as the CIS, have definitely had, I think, stronger showings on the international stage than what we have seen from the Oceanic representatives.
Wait a second, Prey is just behind everyone. He's just, this is what we call the rage push in solo queue. You just full send it in a side lane. You're like, guys, I need minions. I need minions. I don't care if they come for me. And RNG are letting him do it. This is sportsman-like behavior.
Wade did kill the top minion wave, so there's no more support here for Praedith, and this will allow RNG just to push all the way forward. Baron-empowered minions, BioPanther recalling in the bottom lane, and Praedith, by the way, is still just farming the jungle.
A truly positive gaming experience for RNG. Praedith making sure he can get his Krug camp before the reset comes in, and Trevor, I think this may be all she wrote.
It has been there for a little while, Mr. Frierson. As now BioPanther has become a little bit tired on that mini Gnar. The Nexus turret will begin to fall. Praedith has rejoined the rest of the squad, and RNG with another 2 minutes, a minute and a half rather, on that Baron will be able to just push this wave in. Super Minions slowly making their way down. Wave steps all the way forward, gets the stun. Cryan jumps in with the help of Gala as well. They've got one, they've got two. BioPanther will be able to make an eye out. Gala will flash away from the shockwave. Nexus turret falls. Nexus is the focus. Turn the attention back onto BioPanther. If Gala picks it up, there may be a possibility for Penta, but it's not. It's Cryan that picks it up, and RNG dominate, decimate, deconstruct, and obliterate Pentanet. That was rough.
Do you have any more adjectives, Trevor?
I do, but I'm going to save them for the next game.
Yeah. I think that's probably a good call because RNG are not taking it easy on this group. They're absolutely smashing through all the competition.
This is a statement win, looking ahead towards the Rumble stage, looking ahead towards the bracket stage. And RNG are here to win the whole thing. They absolutely destroy Pentanet. So Pentanet 0-3 right now, RNG 2-0. They'll be playing Unicorns of Love next. And then obviously tomorrow, I'll face UOL once again.
Yeah, and of course, they haven't actually played UOL yet. They've played 2 games against Pentanet, and we heard Jahu talking about it, saying, oh, maybe UOL's the team that gives us a little surprise coming up next. UOL always do have that next trick up their sleeve. You never know quite what to expect. But for Pentanet, need to reset off of a game like this because really your competition in this group, it is just UOL. It's a battle for second seed to be able to move on to the Rumble stage.
Yeah, I can